All right, I think we are live. While I get some of these things together, let's go ahead and start kind of giving the prelude of what I've got going on this evening. Tonight, I'm going to really hit on a couple things, but mostly it's not necessarily about where you start, where you go, how you finish. With that, I'm going to put together a example of what it would be like to package a round of properties for exit. Let's see. So we're going to drop that. Yes, Connor, that is me. All right. I'm going to go in and find this package that I was reviewing. Here we go. So whenever I go to share this information on here, hide that. There we go. Bear with me. There's a little bit of sensitive information here that I need to clean up. All right. Here we go. All right. So you should see on here that I'm sharing a screen. Jurgen, what's going on? This is going to be a total of 42 units. All right. And I'm going to have to see. Oh, I do apologize. The total of 45 units. The rents per month are $38,000. And a lot of this is how do you determine the value of the portfolio whenever you get ready to exit? There's going to be a few things that you're going to need to determine. Number one, how do you want people to analyze the deal? Do you want to go one property at a time and you want the mind numbing just showings and tenants being disrupted? Some tenants get frustrated, they leave. Or would you rather sell it to a somewhat more sophisticated buyer? The reason why I say that is you want to find a way that you can actually exit the portfolio, when the time comes, and take advantage of a 1031 exchange if that's your thing. If it's not your thing, then by all means, don't take advantage of it. However, I will let you know there's a lot of benefits to doing a 1031 exchange. For example, let's say that you bought into a portfolio for $1 million and you've depreciated half of it over the course of ownership. You've gotten repairs done and everything, but you've expensed those as the years would go on. So your basis is essentially where you enter your portfolio, such as your $1 million, less depreciation, which means that if you're about half depreciated, you're going to be around $500,000 on the value. All right. Or $500,000 depreciated. So anything that you sell above that, not your base of $1 million, but now your basis is $500,000. Anything above that is going to be a gain. And that's going to have, tax implications. So let's say, for example, you sell for $2 million. Well, instead of a $1 million gain, it's a $1.5 million. And we all understand that Uncle Sam wants his. And a little of it that isn't his, in my opinion. Whenever that happens, there are different vehicles that you can actually use to employ strategies of, hey, I don't want to pay all these taxes. So what can I do to make it make sense? Right? Nope, I don't want to do that. That's not the button. I want to zoom some of this in so hopefully people can see the numbers a little bit better. There we go. Do it there. All right. So as we go through, some of the things you need to understand are what are the operating expenses of the portfolio. And let's just say, for example, you decided you want to sell the entire portfolio one fell swoop, maximize it, and then take all of that gain, 1031 that into something else, like a commercial property, or maybe a smaller group of vacation rentals, cabins, or condos, or a mix of. Maybe you want to roll over into an asset class that you feel is really undervalued, such as self storage, RV parks, multifamily. When the correction hits, those are the things that you're interested in. Maybe looking at rolling up your portfolio and selling it might be a good deal. So we're going to go ahead and go in, and we're going to start determining what some of the expenses are for this portfolio. So we're looking at 31,970.54. So it's going to be it, 31,970.54. And these are appraisal values. Now, not all of them are current appraisals for this. It's only going to be the ones that are highlighted are from this year. The ones that are in white haven't been appraised, I think, in the last 3 years. So there's probably going to be a little bit of appreciation factor into that. Let's just say, as it stands today, you're at about 385 on what. Oh, let's add a zero there on what these appraised for. With the right attrition, I'm thinking it's probably closer to 4.1, 4.15. Let's just say that this is it. So now we need to determine the other expenses, right? So we've got our rental income, we've got our annual insurance expense, but we still have maintenance, vacancy management. You still have your taxes. Your property taxes are pretty huge. So let's add a few fields here, right? Let's see. Okay, so there's our income, there's our expense. So we're going to go with our annual income. That's going to be 38 times 12, 456. Let me check my math on that. 456. Our annual insurance, let's call it 32,000. Maintenance vacancy management. So we're going to just do 25% of the 456 on that. That's 114,000. And then what is the other thing that I'm missing? Oh, could it be taxes? Yeah, exactly. I've got taxes here, 23,000. And real quick, let me update this banner. Yeah, go here. So there's your property taxes, your annual insurance, vacancy. All right. Well, now we just find out what's left. How much do we make? All right. So for all intents and purposes, this is 287 on the NOI. Okay. Now, NOI is simply net operating income. All right. Net operating income is going to be closer to the point of where people say, okay, what am I really expected to make every year for what I purchase from this property? So under this performance, 456 less 32 less 114 less 23 leaves you at 287. Now we just need to do some calculations and say, all right, what do we go with? So in the Shreveport market or Northwest Louisiana market, we're going to be looking at some NOI of, let's see, we'll go a 7, 8, and we'll go 7, 7, 5, 8. So we're looking at a 7 cap, 7.5 cap, and an 8 cap valuation. It's difficult to type when people are watching, right? So when we go in here, this is one of the things that you use whenever you do the valuation of properties, right? And you're going to factor in a cap. Now, in areas like Dallas, San Francisco, New York, Miami, you're going to see market cap rates, or what they're referred to as. Basically, what are buildings trading for, and what are some investment packages trading for, and what is the market going cap rate for that? If you're in a smaller market, or there's a number of other factors, but normally, if it's a smaller population, net migration, anything like that, that could influence those numbers, you're going to have a higher cap rate. All right. Now, there's a number of strategies that people have, and in stocks, there's the saying you want to buy low, sell high. Well, when you're looking at cap rates and valuations of rental properties and portfolios, you want to buy high, sell low. So effectively, let's say that the market cap rate, unless you're looking to, again, nest cash, that's going to be the key component. If you're looking to nest cash, then you would go in, you would buy down to, say, in a market cap rate where there's 7, you can find 7s, but you might even go for the right deal and nest it at like 6.5. All right. I'm not that person. Some people do it for different strategies. That's not one that I do. What I prefer to do is I prefer to purchase at double digit cap rates, which means that, well, for example, let's go ahead and get into this. If I have a package at 287 as my NOI, or my net operating income, I'm going to be looking for something around a $2.8 million valuation. And then whenever I can buy for the 2.8, I go in and I do my value add, which means I'm going to look at the rental history. I'm going to say, okay, are any of these rents undervalued? Can I increase the rents? Can I decrease my maintenance expense? Can I negotiate with my property manager and get them to give me a more favorable rate on those things? So let's say, for example, if I come in, I've got an NOI 287, and let's say that I'm able to go from a 25% to a 20% operating, right? So let's say 456, that's going to be 91.2. That's going to be my new operating expense every month, right? So let's keep the same numbers as they were. Now, what is my new NOI? My new NOI is 309,800. Okay, now this can get a little dense. Feel free to watch this back if you kind of get stuck on it. But let's say that, again, market rate, 10 cap. Okay, I bought this on a 10 cap, 287, 309.8. That's where I was able to increase the value simply by lowering some maintenance, by even not even improving the rents. That's just the one thing. So now, if I was to exit at the same cap rate that I purchased at, and again, I bought it at 2.87, now I can sell it for 3.09. All right. That's huge. That's a really, really good component. Now, let me just do this part right here. That's 309. All right. Now I'm going to hit you with a little bit of math. So let's say that I came in and I bought this at a 10 cap. So I paid 2.87 and I was able to compress that cap rate, right? So let's say that the market cap rate is 7. And I really just did a great deal, found a distressed seller. I was able to pick it up, add the value, but I bought it at the 10 cap. Let's say that at 8 cap valuation, that's a 3,587,500. I bought it at 2.87. Now it's worth 3.5. That's at an 8 cap. Again, market cap. Let's see if it's 7. So we're going to go down to the 7.5. That's going to be 3,826.7. So now it's 3.8 million. So I've made $1 million simply by adding the value, right? Of, well, going from market cap rate or buying it well, operating it the same, and then exiting at the market cap rate. That was no value add. And then let's say here that would be a 4.1 on that 7 cap. Here's the beauty of it, right? So if you're able to go in here and you package this up, you do it right, you bought it well, you increase your NOI to the 309. Now let's see what these numbers are looking like. So on a 8 cap, so 3,872,500, 4,130,667, and 4,425,714. Look at this. So you bought this portfolio for 2.87 on a 10 cap, you increase the NOI, and then you compress the cap rate down to an 8 cap, you made $1 million. You find somebody, right? The right buyer, and this isn't for everybody, but you found the right buyer that's going to go in, they're going to do it, and they just want a stabilized portfolio. Some people don't have an interest in going and stabilizing, right? They want to buy it to where it's turnkey. They don't have to mess with it. They're just simply going to get their ROI. $4.4 million. Again, you're in it for 2.8. You made 1.6 roughly, a little over 1.6. What if you held this for a period of 5 years to do this stabilization? 5 years to make $1.6 million. That's pretty good passive income. Now, some people they're going to argue, well, it wasn't completely passive. I'm sure you had to make some phone calls. You know what? For $300,000 a year, I'll make some phone calls. I'm okay with that. Then the question is, what do you do once you've made the money? So your basis, you've got 5 years of depreciation of this portfolio, right? Now, I'm not going to get into it, but there is some historic depreciation. If you're in a historic district, you get 29 years instead of 27 and a half. But I'm going to go ahead and say that let's say that we bought this at 2.8 and it was worth 2.8. So 2.8 million, we're going to divide that by 27.5. Okay. That means that 101, call it $102,000 a year over the course of ownership is what you're going to be deducting because we're just going to do some round math. So $102,000 a year is what you get to deduct out of depreciation. So your new basis, 102, it's 510,000. So you're at 2.3 is where I'm at. Yeah, 287. We'll go ahead and round it. We'll say that was $500,000 worth of depreciation that you picked up. Now you're going to capture that. Okay. So let's see, we are at 2.3 and you exit at 3.8. Just down here on this 8 cap valuation. Let's just say that you, for some reason, you were motivated and you sold there. 2.3, 3.8, that's 1.5. 2.3 to 4.4, $2.1 million that you generated in the course of 5 years. All because you were willing to do what other people aren't, and you sold it to the people that didn't want to put in the work, right? They already had the cash. They're just looking for a vehicle to park it. And that is briefly how we calculate and value the portfolio for sale. Now, you want to make sure that, again, you understand where your market cap rates are, what people are paying, where they're trading. And then also, is there any incoming speculation to a market? Anything to where people from outside of the area might be saying, I think I like it over there. Let me see if I can, put a couple $1 million to work. Yes, there are people out there like that. I heard Alex Hormozy say, solve rich people's problems. They pay better. And I really do like that saying. So this portfolio, I'm thinking that this person that I consulted with, they gave permission to share this. So don't worry. That's why it's kind of sanitized. You don't see a lot of the stuff. But this portfolio might hit the market over the next, I don't know, 5 to 6 months. We'll see where it goes. But with that being said, if you are looking for a portfolio, if you have one that you're looking to discuss and you want to get a second set of eyes on the valuation of the portfolio, I'm available for that. And that's really all that I had for tonight. Just hop on briefly, get on and share this because I know I don't get too technical on the streams sometimes. Um, I figured why not tonight, right? That is really all. So I hope that you all have a great evening, an amazing week coming up. We're going to be traveling after this and looking forward to a little vacation. So if you need anything in the meantime, though, feel free to give me a call, text, email, carrier pigeon, smoke signals. I'm around. Y'all have a great night.